Halls of Torment came out in May, and I wish I had found it so much sooner. Described on Steam as a horde survival game in a pre-rendered retro look reminiscent of RPGs from the late 90s, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a great little game to me. Coming out off the heels of Vampire Survivors and pretty much at the same time as Diablo, this game is the perfect mix of both, and I've had a great time playing and streaming it that I figured I'd talk about why I think it's so great and why you should maybe give it a shot too. To start, I wanted to quickly highlight the people that made Halls of Torment. I won't go too much into detail about their history making this game or as a company, but I did just want to give a quick overview of it since I feel like these people deserve to be recognized for what they created. So in short, Halls of Torment was made by a small game development company based in Germany called Chasing Carrots. They're a group of 6 people and they've made some previous games I'm not familiar with, but just looking at this, it's amazing how polished of an experience they're able to make with such a small team. When you consider that this is early access, the level of care put into this becomes even more impressive in my opinion. The game starts you off in an overworld room standing around a campfire. This area is fittingly called the camp. When you start playing, you'll only have the one character to choose from, the swordsman. You'll notice that besides those 2 things, there's really only a couple more objects in the room. A stone pillar that brings you an upgrade menu, as well as a large door to enter the levels or a small shrine that lets you do the same thing. It won't get crazier than that, but as you play levels, the starting area will fill up a little bit. So from here, there's nothing left to do but start the first hall, the Haunted Cavern. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the specific layouts of each level, but suffice it to say it's very similar to Vampire Survivors in the way that timed waves of enemies will be coming at you from all directions. In the Haunted Caverns and both of the other halls, these waves will be interspersed with small boss fights as well as final boss fights at the end of the run. Because again, in a similar vein as Vampire Survivors, these are timed runs that only last 30 minutes if you make it all the way to the end. It's what you do in that time that makes the game interesting. You're constantly filling up an experience meter as you kill enemies, and this will regularly give you upgrade options such as more health or a faster attack speed, as well as upgrades for certain special abilities as you unlock them. It's up to you to decide what should be prioritized for your individual character as you progress through the run, and the margin for error becomes smaller along the way. While you're trying to balance your stats, you will notice on the edge of the map that there are arrows pointing you towards icons off screen, again mirroring the vibe of Vampire Survivors in my eyes. If you choose to go towards these icons, you will either find a scroll, often accompanied by a minor boss fight that will give you a powerful ability that you can upgrade as well. There are also icons for an item that will collect many experience gems you may have missed in your run, often able to help you get a few more levels, which can make a hopeless run suddenly seem possible. Beyond that, there are also icons for the quests, and eventually the well, which brings me to the story. So story might be pushing it a little bit, but there are just enough quests throughout the game to make it feel a little more fleshed out than it would otherwise. The most important is when you encounter the well keeper. You will eventually stumble upon him locked in a cage, begging you to find the key and let him out. From there, you will see a marker to the key, which you are able to then retrieve and free the man. Not the most involved quest, but it does add a level of depth to the world, however shallow. More importantly, this quest will completely change how you play the game, as well as similar quests with a potion maker. There are other small quests in the game, but these 2 are by far the most important. Hopefully, as this game is still in early access, they can flesh out these quests a little bit and intersperse them throughout more levels, because they do run out fairly quickly. Once you have freed the well keeper, he will open up the option to use a well whenever you are in the middle of a run. Doing this makes it possible for you to send up items from a particular run to the campsite. For this option, you would fight a boss and they would drop equipment that you would use during that run. Now, by sending up to the well keeper, you forfeit the equipment for that run, but can go to the campsite and buy it from the well keeper, usually at unfair prices, and then equip it for all future runs. As you do this, you will grow quite the armory and are able to add a lot more customization to your runs over time. And like I said earlier, there's a very similar quest with a potion maker that will add the option to retrieve potions that you can also buy for your run. All of this, combined with the fact that you unlock different characters to play as with slightly different base stats and possible upgrades, only adds to the complexity and makes the game extremely replayable and addicting. Having played for about 20 hours at this point, unlocking all 3 levels, I still feel as if there's a ton more to accomplish in this game. I've mentioned Vampire Survivors a few times in this video, and so I just want to point out that although it plays extremely similar to it, is by no means a cheap clone. It's hard to explain, but this game definitely seems like it has more of a soul than games that have been made to try and cash in on the Vampire Survivors hype. It has its own aesthetic that gives a retro feel to Diablo and other retro RPGs. To me, it is clear that Halls of Torment has an artistic design that does a lot to make it stand out and shows the amount of passion that was put into it. That is what makes it different from all the rest. So that was a brief overview of the game, but to give you my final thoughts, I think it's pretty obvious to anyone who watched the short video that I think you should play Halls of Torment. Is it the perfect game? No, but I think that's pretty much an impossible thing, especially for a game that's still in early access and has the foundation to be so much more in the near future. I admit that there are only elements of anything approaching a story, but they are at least supplemental to the main game and could be expanded upon in the future, I hope. However, if you come into this wanting something that plays very similarly to Vampire Survivors while also giving off the vibes of early Diablo, I think you easily have hours of enjoyment that can be had from this game. I know I have, and if you're watching this video before July 13th, I have to mention that it's currently on sale for $3.99. At that price, there's basically no risk in at least giving it a try. Hi everybody, this is Michael. So obviously this video came out way after July 13th. I missed it by quite a bit and did some other stuff in the meantime. Game's still only $4.99, so that's pretty good as well. I think it's definitely worth your time and worth the money, even if you only play it for a few hours. If you like this video, thanks for watching. Leave a like or subscribe. Yeah, I'm gonna do more videos like this in the future, try to branch out in other ways. I just want to talk about games and movies. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.